America for those who have been the beneficiaries of the system. Welcome, family, to another edition of On the Record. I'm Ebony McMorris, White House correspondent for American Urban Radio Networks. Like I said, you're watching On the Record, and I'm sitting here with a man who has spent so much of his life helping to preserve the record. This is one of my favorite people to talk to, and we're doing for the first time in person. Dr. Greg Carr, Chair of Africana Studies at the illustrious Howard University. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Ebony. I was promoted back to the faculty. I'm no longer chair. Thank goodness.
On this show,
breaking news.
Right.
Right. Well, no, that's what it's like. Marion Barry, I guess, like mayor for life. They just made me chair for life.
For life. Well, no.
Which upsets some American Negro administrators, but what can they do?
I'm mad, but let me just say something
I'm
in my mind.
mad.
Right. That part.
You know.
But you really do hold a special place as a truth teller.
Oh, well.
Somebody who preserves the record, somebody who pushes back, someone who reminds us of our story when so many institutions like to erase our story.
Oh, yeah.
And as Joe Madison said, you put it where the goats
Madison,
can get it, right?
Your colleague, your comrade, and you are a woman on the wall. So you're there on Capitol Hill and the White House, and AURN is lucky to have you.
Thank you so much.
And we are glad to always be here surrounding you, so we protect you at all costs.
I love it because you can say on your XM show that you have in the morning, you can say what I want to say, what I'm feeling down in my shanana, as they say. But you always voice it in the tone, the voice, everything. So I thank you for that.
Well, I mean, we saw each other. You helped us because you hosted the Association for the Study of Negro Life and History. I said Negro Life and History because that's how Carter Woodson would have said African American life and history.
Negro. We're going to take it
Negro. You got to take it back, right?
No new language here. No new language.
Yeah, but I love it. And I'm just thinking, we got to have you on. You can do that, right? Can you come on series?
Absolutely.
Oh, then, yeah, we just got to have a regular, because that's what Joe would do, and that's what we need to do. So we're going to keep it going. Okay, well, there it is. We're making news already.
Look at this already. Look at God. Look at God. Yes. But I want to talk to you because we're deep in commencement season, right? Yes. This is where, especially at HBCUs, we see Black excellence just take the stage with the caps and with the gowns. But even behind the confetti, there's a storm that's brewing, that's happening, right? Mm-hmm. And especially in 2025, we're seeing white supremacy not just show up with tiki torches. It's even more so we're seeing in policy, with the gutting of civil rights, with the gutting of DEI, right? As we are coming towards commencement, what are your thoughts? Because how long have you been?
20 years, it's 25 years at Howard. Yeah.
So let's talk about the evolution of that and where we are as this specific class crosses that stage and enters into this world that is in chaos. What's your lens with that?
That's a tough question, Ebony. They are prepared and they're not prepared.
I'm about to say, are they? Okay,
no,
break that down.
When I say they're prepared, I mean, these young people, this is still part of the COVID generation. In other words, they came in virtually.
They did.
We won't be out of that generation probably for another couple of graduation cycles, because these young people, when they came in, they were at home.
That's right. 2020 is when the world seemingly shut down with that.
Absolutely. And then 21, when they came back, we weren't allowed to teach. In other words, we weren't allowed to be in person. So all their classes were virtual, but they were on campus. I tell administrators all the time, y'all loosed a whole bunch of teenagers on a college campus with no adult supervision. Man. It was like Lord of the Flies. They were just out here having a ball. But then you also saw student protests. This is when they had the Blackburn takeover, and they had hold on now. And that wasn't just Howard. Right. It's all over the country.
It's all over the country.
People were used to being at home. They came back and they said, we're not going to tolerate certain conditions. But that was a different administration as well. And remember, these are the young people who came of age resisting the very white nationalists who are now back in the White House. These were the kids who were in the street in the summer of 2020. Remember, they were in high school, and there was they came.
George Floyd,
no question.
Yes.
And they're the ones. These kids from Atlanta and Macon, they're the ones who went out for the first time in their lives voting, and drug Warnock and Ossoff across the
Ossoff.
finish line in
That's
the runoff.
right.
These are the kids who went out, you know what I'm saying? Now they're here. That was the moment of triumph. And imagine being a Howard student who did that and then gathered in November of 2024 thinking this is about to be the crowning achievement. And these white nationalists in this country crossed them over and showed them that this is a white man's country. After those 4 years where they started with all this hope and then brought all that to their yard and stood out there till past midnight as they waited for one of their fellow Howard to come out of Frederick Douglass Hall. And instead, these white nationalists said, no, we're going to break this funky criminal enterprise. I couldn't be happier, quite frankly. I couldn't be happier because they don't have any other experience. In other words,
right.
It's a hard lesson.
Right.
But the United States of America is a white nationalist experiment. We're only here because our ancestors said, you're not going to kill us. And we have every ounce of that. And these young people are prepared to face that. But they, I think, first had to see it. When's the last time a young person had to see what we're seeing now?
I'm trying to think about the generations with everything that's happening politically, racially, but also with the pandemic that we had. And I mean, all at the same damn time.
Same time.
The same time.
That's right. The same damn time. The future.
Right.
At the same damn time.
Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Like literally right behind each other. And now we could be facing tariffs, shutting businesses down, and the recession, like on top of all that. What are some of the things that they've been saying to you that you've been talking about with them in this season?
That's another tough question. Because, we were obviously in class during the election season.
That's why I'm out to be a fly on that wall.
Man, the euphoria, of course. I mean, once Biden stepped out, that's right as school is getting underway. So that whole semester, the HBCU tours, the vice president was here, set up a kind of remote command center. It was a whole moment. Absolutely. And these young people were engaged. You saw the HBCU tours in Georgia and North Carolina. Yeah. They were like, this is what we're going to do.
And didn't get a lot of shine.
No.
We did cover it.
Of course you covered it.
But it didn't get a lot of shine.
No, and wouldn't, because people don't understand. I mean, she was in a cage surrounded by Biden's team. And as they call them, back behind the scenes, these smart ass white boys, the consultant class. And so she couldn't even do what she knows how to do.
No, she couldn't break out, but that's how that system is designed.
Exactly.
I mean,
and it set her up. It put it close enough for them to steal. And by that, I mean, the election of 2024 was absolutely stolen. I'm not talking about vote rigging. Maybe that story will come out and maybe it won't. I'm talking about voter suppression. I'm talking about disinformation. It put it close enough
off of the voter rolls, which isn't a conversation. There's so many buried conversations.
Absolutely.
That really can explain the times I believe that we are in and why we're seeing.
Yeah.
But it's not coming out. That's why I'm glad your platform does that.
About it. Yeah.
We do that on here, and then so many others do it. Roland Martin does it.
Oh yeah. And that's more important than ever now.
Absolutely. Yeah. I want to give you a quote, and I wanted you to react to this because I was thinking about this. It was a quote by Carter G. Woodson.
Oh, yeah.
The father we know is Black history. He said, "Those who have no record of what their forebears have accomplished lose the inspiration, which comes from the teaching and biography of history." And I say that because I worry about the condition of our young people as we see the literal complete erasure of history.
The attempt. Because we're not going to allow that to happen in Black spaces. And I'm not just talking about HBCUs. I'm talking about K-12. I'm talking about churches, community organizations. I'm especially talking about the Black media. I mean, with the work that you do, what you going to do? Stop us from listening to American Urban Radio Network?
Right.
What you going to do? Stop us from... And plus, these young people live online anyway.
They do.
So with YouTube and everything else, I mean, one of the reasons that during COVID, I just tried hard to move into that space was that that's where they are. And not at the brick and mortar. Even when they sitting in class, they got the device open. Like, what y'all doing? So I need to come where y'all are. I'm saying all that to say that these white nationalists think that somehow they can control what we learn. Now, they can do some damage. Linda McMahon can't do much damage because what does the Department of Education do? What does it really do? We got to deal with these student loans. We got to do some. But in terms of the teaching and learning, I spent all my adult life in higher education, and a great deal of it in public education, K-12, when a teacher closes her door, y'all ain't got enough administrators to deal with that. What we need is more Black teachers. Now that's the challenge, you know.
That part, which has been a discussion we've been really needing to lean in and pressing on that for quite some time anyway,
Absolutely.
especially Black male teachers in the classrooms. I absolutely believe that.
Absolutely.
You know, I was thinking about how white supremacy looks in 2025, right? Mm-hmm. Not always overt, but very extremely organized. Oh,
yeah, for sure.
And operating and through policy and the suppression of truth. Do you feel like it's, some people are saying, I still hear people say, we haven't seen this before. Mm-hmm. How do you deal with that? I'm sure you hear that a lot.
Yeah, and it's true to a degree. I mean, an open racist as president of the United States, you might have to go back to Woodrow Wilson, screening Birth of a Nation in the White House.
In the White House.
Yeah, you know, and of course, that's Carr G. Woodson's time. We're talking about Woodson. I mean, when Woodson is writing Miseducation of the Negro in the middle of the Great Depression, the textbooks are racist. He had to write his own textbook. That's why you had the Negro in Our History that he published with Charles Wesley. You've got that pushback. Today, there are some things that are new. We didn't have the technology we have now.
Right.
So it's easier for the
like
racists.
A fire.
Absolutely.
That burns the house real quick.
Absolutely. So if you connect the white nationalists of the early 20th century with the technology, that's where you get a Steve Bannon and a Stephen Miller. That's where you get an Elon Musk, a apartheid racist who's able to interfere with elections. But you're seeing pushback. You're seeing it in Europe. You saw it in Australian elections, the Canadian elections.
The Canadian one. Yeah.
You know, and I think they caught the car. To use the metaphor from Batman when the Joker is like, I caught the car. I don't know what to do with it. Now that I caught it. Donald Trump is the clown. You caught the car. Now what? Tariffs. Oh, wait. Oh, no, wait. No. Oh, okay. Exemptions. Wait. Right. Okay. Oh, tax Hollywood. Wait. No. If his children cared about him, they would put a bathrobe over him and take him home and sit him down, because this man is clearly unwell. But the real issue, what they really want, they want their tax cut. They talking about legislation that's going to move is the one the billionaires paid for this administration to do in the first place. Give us all your money. Give us the tax money.
Right.
The rest of this stuff, we'll fight it.
It's like a stick up.
Yeah. It's like an open stick up. It's an open stick up. A Melania Trump meme coin. I didn't know what meme coins were. It's a vibes currency.
Exactly.
Millions of dollars on vibes. This is a straight theft.
But that's part of the flooding of the zone, right?
Yes.
To get us off of what we need to be paying attention to. To get us off the policy that's affecting us. To get us off what legislation. And to get us off community.
That's right.
That's right. You've spoken about the Black Nadir before. Mm-hmm. You know, for those who don't know, the post-Reconstruction era, we saw Black advancement met with a lot of political backlash as we're living through. Or would you consider this like a new nadir?
Oh, that's a great question. Yeah, in some ways, except longer. The Civil War was only 4 years, and then Reconstruction, not even 10, really. Mm-hmm. So they said that period where we went to that dark period, of course, Howard University historian Rayford Logan coined that term, Woodson's friend. The period that we're talking about, really from maybe the 1870s, mid 1870s, up until maybe World War I, which was the worst part of it. That period is longer now, because what we're seeing, we thought of Reconstruction, and William Barber says it's the second Reconstruction is like the Civil Rights Movement.
Yep.
Then by the time you get to 1965, the people we see now are already planning their white lash. That's now they're moving toward an nadir. This is where the Heritage Foundation is started. This is where the billionaires start putting their money in. This is when you rise everybody from Ronald Reagan to all the
churches,
all of
who have always been part of the undercurrent of these white nationalist movements.
That's right.
That we see.
White Christian nationalism is the heart of U.S. white supremacy. They're not Christians. The Klan said they were Christians. The Nazis said they were Christians. White Christian nationalists are fascists. They're Christian fascists. If Jesus Christ came back today, they would put him in a camp. Why? Because he wasn't white.
Come on.
And he had no papers. And so in other words, these are not Christians. Right. They are Christian fascists. And among them, their sects tell you that. You look at Samuel Alito on the Supreme Court or Pete Hegseth at defense, they're not even mainstream white fascist Christians. They're white Catholic fascists. They're not even Catholics. The Catholics looking at them like, what are you talking about? Look at these tattoos. Oh, y'all crusaders. This is a different. But you caught the car. Now that you caught the car, it's 330 million people in this country. Do you really think we all going along with this? No. Most people in the election land didn't vote.
Right. That's the problem.
That's
what
the
we
problem.
don't talk about. It's not, when I'm in the briefing, like, oh, America came out and all these amazing numbers. No. It was like, first of all, the difference was like 0.1.
Right.
It was like
First of all.
0.1. Let's start there. And many of us, for African Americans, we didn't come out.
Right.
So when you add that into the millions that were taken off of the roll, the picture is very different.
Close enough to steal. But everybody gets Social Security check. Everybody got to go put gas in their car. Grandma got to get her medicine. They have struck a rock.
Yeah, but when that check gets small, when that check don't come on time, when that aid doesn't come through, it's rural white America that has been stepping up and be like, what? Because y'all thought it was all black folk.
No.
You thought we would have what? Okay.
And then they saying, and we had a moment, we're like, you know what, let's just sit back and watch it burn. But we were never going to sit back the whole time.
We need to just take a breath.
We just take a breath, and y'all get out there and fight.
This relay, y'all take this leg. This is going to be a long leg.
And they're beginning to take the leg.
They're tearing up these town halls.
No question.
Tearing up these.
And you're seeing it, I'm sure, on the Hill.
Oh, my goodness. I am. I'm seeing it there. I'm seeing from the protests happening outside of the White House. It's interesting, but it also makes me then switch to say, where's the opportunity for Black folk in this time? What kind of Black thought, even steeped in African theology, do we need to come to center around community, where we saw that often prioritizes the collective as opposed to the individual? What do you feel like modern Black collective thought looks like in this fragmented society that we have now, in this algorithm-driven world? How can we have this Afro something algorithm? Yeah. What does that look like?
Well, I think you already answered it by evoking Woodson and evoking the nadir. Like when Trump won the first time, the students, they were like, oh my God. So we called a meeting in Crampton Auditorium, open meeting, and I said, don't be sad. This is a beautiful moment.
Yeah.
This is the age of heroes. I said, what happened last time we did this? That's when Ida B. Wells was born.
Come on.
That's when Marcus Garvey came from Jamaica. This is the period you build it. You know what I'm saying? Look at Traore in Burkina Faso. Like, we're going to isolate him. No, the whole world came out saying, hands off him. Look at what we're doing. Look, people, if Kamala Harris had won and senators had come out, people would have gone to see it. But it's Trump. I know for a fact people going to see senators now like, we can't fight y'all. No question. Ryan Coogler.
I see white folk all up in there like, we all
no question.
Coming like it.
This is the period. Yeah, I mean, in the 70s when they were coming for us, that was the era when Shaft came out, and directors and Black people, Sidney Poitier and Bill Cosby making these movies. This is the period for we show up, especially when it's tough. This is the age of heroes. Heroes gonna be born out of this moment. We'll go back and look like, this is when we took the next. No, we know, because that's what we do every time. That's why I'm excited.
I think about that because even when we look at what happened during the Great Depression, you also saw the Harlem Renaissance coming at the same time. Like when you look at periods of history and where some of our greatest thought came from.
Martin Luther King is born in 1929. This is the point. You're making the point. This is when we do it. See, because we be forgetting.
Yeah.
We forget. But look back. Every time we've had the heroes, that's Rosa Parks in them. They came out of the Depression.
Right. So that then lends to Black consciousness.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
Boy, you talked about the double consciousness of Black folk. How do we? So let me just say this, because every time I see you being interviewed, you are surrounded by like a whole.
I'll be at my house.
I mean, because I'm always like, where is he?
At my house. They ain't gonna where else put the books.
Show us the kitchen.
I would like to bring them to Howard, but I don't trust these Negroes with my books. So anyway, no, because libraries have become passe. No, sadly. Because we don't prioritize books anymore. We think everything's on a tablet.
But those are our treasures now.
Yes.
Libraries are our treasure chest.
Yes.
While I'm watching books being burned and seeing things being taken out, like this is our treasury.
That's right.
But it made me mad when I read, and I know I'm getting off point, where most students haven't even read a full book.
No, it's not their fault. It's not their fault. Why would they have read a book if you have schools that deprioritize libraries? I have thousands of books that are books that came from library sales because they were throwing the books away. They've been doing that for 30 years.
That's the place where you sent kids to go to the library.
Yes. No, they don't call them
Right.
libraries anymore. They're like information centers
Information
and
center.
media centers. And
The
you going
computers
to
are there, but the books are gone.
they're gone. On this campus, the books are gone. And Howard is not an outlier. This isn't a criticism of Howard alone. It's criticism of universities, period.
Yeah.
And so when people talk about banning books, I just start laughing. Here come these racist white women, Moms for Liberty. I want this book banned. First of all, can you spell book? It's got 4 letters. I'll give you the B and the K. Go ahead. You can't spell. You ain't been in the library. Your kid don't even go to this school, and you want a book banned. Guess what? That's the book. I don't know if you like me as a child. Now I want to read that book. We're built for a time like this.
We are.
The educators, the media, we can do this. Give us the list. Here are the books. Yeah, okay.
Got it.
Let's do it. Because y'all don't go to the library anyway. And they are fighting. I just read an article in the New York Times. There's a library in Alabama that's having a fight now over the banned books. They're in red Alabama, in a red city. But even the people who voted for Trump were like, you can't tell us what not to read. And so they are pushing back. I'm going to see, y'all have created a mess. And my mom from Alabama, so we know that red and blue really don't mean anything. I agree with Reverend Barber and Gary Chambers in Louisiana who says, these aren't red states. They're under-organized states. Our people in the South, you imagine if everybody live. No, most of us live in the South.
Texas being the largest, where most of us live. All these things are, and I always think about that. I think there are like 7 states where most Black folk live, and like the first 3 or 4 are all red states. Been red, ain't done nothing,
right?
But red, and we're so heavily affected from our water to our health care.
That's right. To
our access and our resources.
But we can change it.
Yeah.
I mean, in our lifetimes, someone who these young people only know the name, James Earl Carter, Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter was a Democrat. He was a rock and roll Democrat. Allman Brothers and all them organizing for him. I mean, Southern Rock, Leonard Skinner. And you think, so you got to be a racist. No, he was a Southern Baptist. Which meant I'm a Christian. But I'm not Christian like y'all Christians. You know what I'm saying? Those people have aged out. Many of them are ancestors now. But their children aren't that different. I think that what we're facing is an opportunity. I'm not talking about saving the soul of America. I could care less about the soul of America. What I'm thinking about is our common humanity. For us. And we can protect ourselves. We use voting as a weapon of self-defense. We build coalitions with others. We saw it coming right back around to those young people who will be graduating in this season all over the country who were in the streets, not just Black people. That's what scared Trump in there when he walked across from the White House to the upside down Bible. Because we were down there on what became for a moment Black Lives Matter Plaza. These aren't just Black kids.
It's gone. That's gone.
The signage is gone, but the people who were out there on that street are not.
Right. It's crazy. That's gone. We're seeing the attacks on museums, African American.
Sure.
Museum, the Blacksonian, as many call it. I'm looking and reading stories where there were plantations that were preserved. I think the Whitley plantation. They're talking about taking funding from that, but that's when I believe we need to be modern day Creoles.
Yes, and we are going to be. Yeah. It's not the good brother Lonnie Bunch, Howard University graduate, PhD here. Lonnie Bunch said, when I started at the Museum of American History, there was a single American narrative. Now there isn't. And I said, yeah, see, this is why they don't like Lonnie Bunch. He's a scholar. He's a warrior.
Yeah.
And his thing was, as we know, because again, you brought him in to speak, as you brought him on stage to speak to Woodson's organization in February. You know, when you face it with generosity, when you face it with community, but when you stand in your Blackness unashamedly, what they gonna do? Keep playing. Go ahead. Say it again, Trump.
My face,
say it. You know, because some of these people like, okay, you know, I don't know no Black people, but what did they do to you? Oh, you just a miserable. Hey, wait, my check is short. Right. Okay, hold on, Blake. Say, yeah, come on, let's go. We know what is wrong.
That. Dr. Carr, let's say we're putting together a survival kit for Black America. And in this survival kit, I need to take some information with me because the world is being destroyed. What is in this survival kit? What are the books? Because you always surrounded by Black folk. Give me like forever. And I know it's gonna be hard for you.
It'll be terrible. Yeah,
it's gonna be hard for you. But what are like? I need you to have this one.
Oh, okay.
I need you to have these three in here.
Okay, I can come with three.
What's your three?
Well, I would say conceptually we can't start our history with slavery.
Whoops, please
with all
put
due
that
respect,
on repeat.
With all due respect to my
Yes.
friend and colleague here at Howard, Nicole Hannah Jones, my friend,
Oh,
I do not
her.
believe in a 1619 project unless you're talking about 1619 BC. You can't start with slavery because that's a setup. Anything you write, no matter how beautiful, it's ultimately going to lead us back to the idea that we came into existence naked in chains, talking about give us free. No, can't do that. So I would say it has to be a good African history book. So I would say a history book that starts before now, one that deals with the transition, and one that deals with our condition. So for one that starts before now, I would say maybe Aikwe Arma, his book, The Eloquence of the Scribes, which starts in ancient Egypt and brings us all the way up into now. So you got to start there. If you don't, we got a problem. The condition now, how we got here, my friend Howard French has a book called Born in Blackness. His basic thesis is that what we're calling Europe and Europeans and the West, all that basically jumped on back of Africa and rode their way into modern history. And he details how there is no England or France or there's no Spain. All that's resourcing African labor and wealth, and then they build the colonies. So that's the way here. And then the last one, you've already, we could do contemporary books, but I don't know that there's a more timeless classic than the one you evoked, which is Carr G. Woodson, The Miseducation of the Negro.
I would throw a cookbook in there too.
Oh well, but that ain't in books. We learn how to cook mouth to ear, hand to hand. Black women don't write nothing down. Like, how you know what?
Because I just tried to get a recipe from my auntie, and I was like, lady, what? Well, this I see it. I measure my
exactly.
I see this. I was like,
cookbooks is like
I need that. She was like, baby, I didn't cook them.
Come watch. I'm gonna get you mess it up a couple times, and then yours gonna be right. You know what I'm saying?
She's like, you got a feeling. You talk to your food. I said, do I talk to my food? She better talk to them ribs you eat.
Oh, see, that's we black. See,
we have a relationship.
No question.
With this earth, we have a relationship with our food. We have a relationship with that. We are spiritual beings.
We are spiritual beings.
Look, I said lastly, but like an old Baptist preacher, I'm gonna ask you one more time because this is what I don't know. Who is Greg Carr? Like, I don't know what got you down this road. What led you to this road of this discovery?
That's a good
what
question.
Happened? I always hear, I follow everything you do. I'm like, where did this come from?
Oh, that's well, like you, I'm a product of my parents, their parents. Mother from Alabama, father from Tennessee. They didn't get a chance to finish. They never saw the inside of a high school as students. Well, they love reading. So I was born into a household where that's what they did. My daddy read the newspaper every day, and he worked every day of his life. So the hard work ethic comes from my father and my mother. The love for reading from them. And then I'm in that first generation that was bused. So in Tennessee. So they sent us to these white spaces, but our communities were black. And I tell students all the time, if my school had looked like my church, I probably wouldn't be here. And if my church had looked like my school, I probably wouldn't be here. In other words, our people never went to these white schools for culture or for values. We went for the resources. And that's where, so we never, when we sitting next to white people don't mean nothing to us, except you might become fascinated with whiteness. And that has its own problems. Shout out to every NC2A football player. But anyway, the point is this. The whole
your low-key shade be real funny.
High key with your welcoming committee. God bless, love who you love. But if you only been in proximity with this fantasy, then that's where you end up in trouble. Right. Somebody should have told Shannon Sharp. But the point is that, so for me, it became it had to have a commitment to my race, to my people, and to humanity. And so maybe, finally, I'm the first in my immediate family to go to college. I wanted to be in the Tennessee State Marching Band because I was a drum major in high school. Man, that's all I wanted. You know what I'm saying? Oh. And when I went to an HBCU, I don't care whether it's Texas Southern or Tennessee State or Howard or Spelman, any of our schools, Morgan, you name it, that made the difference. That's why I'm sitting here, because the people trained me. So I come on this campus, I look at the students, I look at the faculty, but I think about who was here when I came. Ron Walters. Emery Tolbert, Eleanor Traylor. You know what I'm saying? So when I see them, it's my job.
It's the roll call.
Yeah, because that's who brought me.
I love it.
That's why I'm here. Think about it.
Shout out to all the bands.
Oh, yeah. And Showtime. I don't no shade on Showtime. Well, I should say this about Howard's band. Showtime is a fantastic HBC marching band. It's got the best version of Talking Out the Side of Your Neck that and we played it, you know what I'm saying? But they put the go-go beat. They represent DC. But the problem with Showtime is not the band. It's that this institution needs to give more money to Howard University's band. Because if the number of students who want to be in that band had scholarship support, it'd be 3 times the size it is. And when we go down to play Tennessee State in the fall of 25, I know the Aristocrats are marching 300. Showtime gonna go down there with 100, 125. They're gonna sound good.
Wait a minute,
but they're gonna get blown out the water. And I'm gonna be mad. I'm like, get them scholarships, because then you can have a 400-member Howard band. How many musicians we got in this undergraduate student body who would love to be in the band, but they don't have the financial support? Y'all support Showtime marching band. So we don't gotta march into. Were you there at the Celebration Bowl when Howard played Fam?
No,
yeah, I was down there, and I was telling the students, saying, y'all not ready for this, because Southern HBCU culture is a little different.
I did go to school in South. I went to WI, but I partied on the Southern campus.
Southern. No question. You can't play with that, right?
Oh my! It's something about that us in the South.
Yes,
it's a whole different.
It's a different
and
thing.
I love DC, born and raised, but that thing hit my soul.
No question.
I was like,
man, Showtime sounded so good, but when them orange and green Negroes from Fam rinked up their
ancestors probably came up and was like,
oh my God. I would love one day for Howard's marching band to be in full supported strength, because I think it would make a real intervention and statement in HBCU band culture. They just need more money for more scholarships for more students. They got the musicians, they just don't have the financial support.
Well, with Dr. Carr, we got to save us sometimes.
Yes.
We got to save us.
We got to save us. No, and that, you know what? That's what the nadir taught us too.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody coming for us.
We got to save us.
And we can save us.
And we can do it.
We've done it before.
And help save other people.
Exactly. So I know, it's great, MSNBC, Fox, and whatever they doing, but American Urban Radio, that's what we need to focus on. And that's why we glad we got you.
Dr. Greg Carr.
No.
It's a special place. I don't care how many times I see. I'm like,
with you.
Like I can.
That's the look I'll be looking for right there.
We can crack up, joke, laugh, and at the end of the day, I seriously thank you.
No, thank you.
Like
for everything, not just sitting here, but everything you do every day. Because I know it can't be easy. Walking in the room with propaganda Barbie and all these hillbillies, and but you gotta stay focused.
But you dealing with the minds.
That's easy. But I'm here with black people. It's different. You out there in the other thing. All right, with different represent all of us. No question.
Different terrain.
That's true. That's true.
Thank you. Where can people go to find out more information? How they can get in class with Greg Carr?
Oh yeah, that's every Saturday. Yeah, Karen Hunter every Saturday, 8:30 Eastern time. We've been doing it. We're close to 300. We keep inching up. We haven't missed a Saturday. Even sometimes we had to pre-record, we'll still go on. So yeah, we started during COVID. She started with that. Karen has been a rock. Roland, of course, Black Star Network. Y'all are there. See, my dream, and maybe this will help us too, is that all of y'all be having a meeting. Y'all have a meeting and be like, okay, this is how we gonna move together. This it's got to. That's what the Black press did. That whole black, I have a student in my class right now who is the granddaughter of Robert Stingstack, who, his family started the Chicago Defender. So, but these young people are looking for that now. The more she learns about her family, the more she learns, so where's that now? So, well, maybe we need to let you hang out with Ebony McMorris. So this is what it look like now. You know what I'm saying?
Have like a Niagara Falls movement.
No, seriously.
Just go and just sit.
Seriously.
Yeah.
That's what I hope, man. If I saw y'all in the room like that, I'd be like, let's surround this and don't let nobody in there, because they're getting ready to plan how we about to get out of this.
Well, let's do it. Faith is the substance of things, hopeful, the evidence of things not seen. We can build on it.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
love it. Thank you, Dr. Carr. You got to come back again.
Anytime. I'm glad that you're here.
Absolutely. This is going to be one of my favorite episodes of On the Record. Stay tuned for more. But you have been listening to and hearing one of my favorite people, the Dr. Greg Carr.